Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting race during our continuing coverage of the, sorry about the echo there, of the Max Rando tournament. Today we have trailZ versus Paratrooper. As you can see, starting with a lot of really interesting items, and we are joined by Frico and Victor Santa Fe. And without further ado, I will hand it over to them.
Good evening, everyone. So yeah, we're very excited about this match. This is they call it the 1.5 bracket. I can't. Do you have any information on that, Frico? You are more knowledgeable about this kind of tournaments than I am.
Normally, it would be the quarterfinals, but because it's a double elimination bracket, it's kind of like the round of 16, even though it's not the round of 16. But basically, we've got trailZ against Paratroopa. The winner will take on J-Coper in the quarterfinals, quote unquote. On the other side of the bracket, we have Buzz Thunder and Level Engine, and the winner of that match will take on our upset specialist, Nightcrawler. It looks like our runners are underway, and we see, oh boy, do they have just about everything they need to do everything? What do they need? The
So yeah,
key?
they need the glove and yeah, basically it's a search for the glove at this point because they need to place 6 gems. Maybe the flute could be required, and maybe something reflect is gonna be required. So yeah, they will have to look for that.
Oh, one-up dolls everywhere.
Yeah, so that's pretty disappointing for both of them. So to make a quick recap of what the players started with, they need to play 6 gems, so they need the reflect spell and most probably the glove. And they have 3 lives, which is the normal thing. They have 7 heart containers, so they got a little bit lucky there. And they have the thunder spell, fairy, and jump spells, and those spells are occupying the first, fifth, seventh, and eighth slots. So those are the towns they don't have to visit. So reflect could be either in Rudo, Saria, Mido, or Darunia.
How many of
And
those spell slots are spell-based items like the child medicine and trophy?
yeah, the three of them are the three of. I mean, they started with 4 spells, and 3 of the spells they will have to get will need spell items. So yeah, they're kind of looking
Ouch.
for those spell items.
So the likelihood of reflect being gated behind one of those items is very high.
Yeah.
Looks like Paratroopa's fallen down, trails in another item location.
So yeah, at this point, it is important for them to find the town of Saria and hope it is reflect. If it is not, they will have to do a very through exploration. However, we have the spell hints on, so they can get inside the towns, like the town of Rudo, for example. That is a very short town, where you can get 1 or 2 hints, one about the spell item and one about the other items. That's a possibility. So yeah, getting to Rudo could be a good thing, but the first thing they need is to get into Saria. Also about the glove, yeah, they need to ask for some hints and hope they find it quickly, but we don't know where it is, so anyone's game.
Well, right now it looks like even though they have 7 blocks of life, this damage is just adding up. Wow, just getting mauled left and right by enemies.
Yeah, and they are both on life 3, so yeah, that is very surprising. Paratroopa finding the backside of Saria, and he has enough to cast Fairy and trailZ following behind. So yeah, both of our players know they need the reflect spell, so they are hoping it is here.
Trail's stopping to get a little refill. Paratroopa also stopping to get a refill. And our friendly little slime knows nothing.
Yeah, that's one less possibility of a hint, but we have another guy at the entrance of the town that could give the players the hint they're expecting. So the spell in Saria is a reflect spell, okay?
Oh,
One
wow.
less thing to worry about.
All right, so the trophy, the medicine, and the child are all much less relevant right now.
Yeah, that is
So,
correct. And they even have the spell which helps them get one of the items in the town of New Kasuto. So yeah, that won't be a worry either. So now they are looking for the glove and they are good to go.
so with having reflect in hand, can we kind of say, all right, we're in go mode? Is it guaranteed that we're going to get glove blocked in any of the palaces?
No,
Oh,
there's a
well, there's the
very, very
hammer.
low
Paratroopa finding the
probability
hammer.
of having a gloveless seed with 6 gems. That could happen. I've never seen it, but there's a legend that tell us that those exist. Very low probability, but yeah, and the players could be stopped by something like the not finding the flute or up stab or down stab because GP has up stab and down stab locked rooms.
Well, I think with fairy in hand, upstab and downstab's just a matter of finding the town.
Yeah, that is correct. And with Paratroopa is just finding one of those. And he could also get a hint from here and from this house and go west to find the hammer. He already got the hammer, so that's
Thanks.
not new for him. And the kit for trailz. So yeah, we're finding the location of the spell items we won't need. So yeah, the only thing useful out of, well, they don't have either the shield or the life spell, and if survivability is pretty tough for these guys, that could be a thing, survivability. But I don't know how out of their way they will go for the shield or the life spell. I don't think they will.
Well, Paratroopa's already got life 4. Go east to
And
find the medicine.
yep.
So trailz and Paratroopa reports are saying that's Palace 2 or possibly 5. And I think trailz is on his way to finding the hammer.
Yeah, that is correct. The hammer could open Spectacle Rock, and the town of New Kasuto and some boulder blocked caves, but however we haven't seen any in this one, I believe. So yeah, Paratroopa getting the kid out of the hard container cave.
All right, so at this point, we're basically even up with exploration. At this point, it feels like the child, the hammer being found by both runners. Palace 2 being found by both runners. trail's finding a hammer blocked section.
Yeah, we don't know where that leads. Kind of looks like it leads to nothing, but he didn't even check it out. Or probably he did it earlier. We don't know.
I'm actually a little surprised Paratroopa isn't going into the water underneath on the map where he is right now.
That kind of looks like the border, but I'm not sure. And trailZ also gets the hint about the hammer after he gets the hammer. So.
Yeah, it's like, thanks for letting me know that we have the hammer. Paratroopa going into a cave, deciding, maybe not.
Yeah, if I were playing, I would have probably gone east. Just to check out how, if the flute is required, and maybe get some items in the way. The Eastern Continent is very good for grinding levels, especially this early. And now Paratroopa is going into the northern side of the Western Continent, using the water in the eastern.
That boulder indirectly blocked off a palace, but Paratroopa diving in there and going, maybe not. Just kind of checking it out.
Oh, and this palace is a pretty easy palace to miss. Sometimes you don't look very carefully in those corners. And trailZ just heard Jay Copper and is taking on Palace 2.
So trail's taking what he can get, but interesting. Paratroopa still exploring, and it looks like he's into Death Mountain at this point.
Yeah, I kind of see no reason for Paratroopa to be in that mountain, but it could be rewarding. He has a hammer, and he has the boots, so finding the Spectacle Rock shouldn't be that hard. But we'll see. Sometimes we get some trolley Spectacle Rocks. And trailZ finding the glove lock room in Palace 2. He's trying to grind a level though, and he gets it. Yeah.
Yeah, found out that he's glove blocked and just decided, nope, gotta go, bye.
And the rock for Paratroopa.
Paratroopa's still exploring. Does he forget that he has the hammer? Oh, there we go.
And that's a pee bag. So it kind of didn't pay off, and now he has pretty high points, so he needs to grind something to get a level and not waste that pee bag. So yeah, not ideal for him. And trailZ finding the glove in the grass tile. Wow.
Oh, wow, that's a bit of a fine there. So that could put him right back into Palace, too.
Yeah, and yeah, if I were racing him, he will have won. I will have gone east.
Well, you never know. Going east might have been the play, but I think Paratroopa is gonna be lost in Death Mountain for way too long. But you never know, I guess. But we'll see. Maybe it ends up with the flute and it's required. I mean, so far we've had one long shot with Reflect being in Saria.
Man, Paratroopa just was so unlucky. He's close to a level. He found a big enemy, which is the Red Dyra, and he used the Thunder spell, and he got double jarred. He got a blue jar and a red jar. He didn't get the level. So yeah, that's gonna make him spend some more time here in that mountain. And I guess he's kind of thinking, why am I doing this? I don't need levels. However, I'm close to one. So why am I still here?
Yeah, that kind of hard oof feeling where it's like you know you want to up an A, but you're like, oh, I just need 50 points, and I can get a level and then up an A.
Well, he's using his bad luck to kind of force good luck into finding Hammer Cave, which could be huge. It could be a required flute. We don't know. But yeah, he's taking quite some time here in that mountain.
Yeah, it feels like such a long shot play, though. This 50 XP is going to end up... Ooh. Paratroopa still having 2 lives left, but this should get him his level. So 150 points there. That's going to get him attack 3 finally. And there it is, the up and A.
So what trailZ is doing right now, he's forcing this door to unlock by itself. So in this room, there is a jar in one of the statues. If he gets a red jar and he picks it up and leaves the room through the elevator and comes back in, the door will be gone. So he got it because he still doesn't have the magic key, and the first spell is not that expensive, but yeah, it's not infinite. So you still need keys.
Well, trailZ actually found a key. And speaking of finding things, Paratroopa actually found the grass tiles, so that'll give him his glove. And there he goes, eastward bound. So Paratroopa off to the east, and
I think I see. Yeah. So the flute is required. So yeah, we have a tight match. trailZ is a little bit ahead, but in exploration, but Paratroopa has some knowledge about Death Mountain.
I think I would actually give Paratroopa a bit of a advantage exploration-wise. I mean, he's on the eastern continent. trailZ will more than likely get the first palace completed. But who knows, if the flute is in a trolley spot and Paratroopa finds it, that could throw trailZ behind.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. So now it is the search for the flute.
It's a bit of a what if, but it feels like it could be a possible path to victory for Paratroopa. So there's no way to say, okay, one of these runners is definitively ahead of the other. It's way too early for that 19 minutes in.
Yeah, the thing that I will also kind of give a little bit of a lead to Paratroopa because he has the knowledge that Three-Eye Rock is required. So while trailZ is doing palaces and thing, Paratroopa is exploring for items. So because he knows he knows he needs it, trailZ doesn't. So he's probably trying to finish the game, and Paratroopa is looking for the flute. So that could give him an edge, especially if the flute is in the overworld of the Eastern continent. Or if he gets a hint in a town or something like that.
Well, that could be something that Paratroopa ends up finding being on the Eastern continent. We've seen all 4 of the towns, I believe, on the Western continent.
So yeah, Paratroopa in one of the places where he could find the flute. This is the Piba Cave in the Eastern continent, one of the 2 that are there, and this is what we call the reason Piba Cave because it has kind of some stairs going up and a red jar for trails in P3.
Yeah, that was a not exactly spectacular item drop for the palace. Ouch.
Yeah, so we've gotten a 1-up in Medicine Cave and a red jar in P3. That's pretty nasty.
So how much of a premium do you put on diving dungeons palaces for, just looking for the items?
It depends. It kind of tends to bite you in the back, and that's one of the reasons Rose City Saint tends to win a lot of matches, because he kind of has the rule of not exploring palaces until he has a very good grasp about his whole situation in the overworld. But yeah, sometimes
trailZ. Oh no. trailZ dismounting the Rebanak and ending up taking a death, so unfortunate.
Yeah. But sometimes the items you need are in palaces, and while you take quite some time exploring the overworld for a lot of stuff that you don't need. So yeah, it's kind of a luck-based decision. However, doing the exploration outside of palaces tends to be a little bit safer, I'd say.
Well, Paratroopa he's got Fairy. Oh, he's just using jump and not going to shortcut with Fairy. This will give Paratroopa upstab. Just about 23 minutes in, trailZ going to dunk our first crystal into Palace 3. Yeah, press up, you idiot. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So press down to upstab and press up to use the pointing thing downward. No. That's not how it works. Okay. Got that all squared away.
Well, I believe Paratroopa has the kit. Yeah, he picked it up in one of the caves. So
yes,
he's
Paratroopa does have the child, so we'll see a spell here.
And it is a shield spell, so that could help in survivability a lot. Especially if you have something like a Thunderbird fight or a very trolly Great Palace. The Guma fight too.
Yeah, definite quality of life upgrade for sure. Paratroopa wandering about, not interested in Death Valley quite yet. trailZ looks to be into Palace too.
Yeah, Death Valley and sometimes Maze Island, if you don't have the boots, for example, are things you kind of want to leave for last when exploring the Eastern continent, because getting back from there takes quite some time. So you kind of want to leave them for last, just in case you don't find what you want in those places. You can up and A and go back to the Western continent, having explored the rest of the things. So I believe Paratroopa picked up a magic container in the other P-back cave. So yeah, that will give him...
Paratroopa just found a magic jar. So I believe he's up to 6. It's New Kasuto that has a potential requirement for a number of jars with the old lady.
Yeah, that is correct. And there's an item in that house. So yeah, getting magic containers could be a thing for this guy. He now has 2 out of 3 chances of being able to enter that house.
Well, let's see. It's 5, 6, or 7 on the requirement in New Kasuto.
Yeah, 5, 6, or 7.
Uh-oh. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of an issue with the desert tile, aren't we? Well, just a 1-up doll.
Yeah, thankfully he remembered. If he didn't, that's something that kind of itches in your brain when you're playing, finding out if that could have been the desert tile you're looking for.
Ooh, trail's having to
throw away.
Saying
that's a different tile, so yeah, that could be a problem still for Paratroopa.
trail's unfortunately no keys in his inventory, and not enough magic to have used fairy. Had to take a death. Finally getting through the key by activating the fairy spell. So we'll see if trailz can proceed through Palace 2.
So yeah, being able to cast fairy only once can be very tricky. However, he just got magic 5. So there's a possibility of him being able to...
Paratroopa just walked right past the desert tile, so uh-oh. Yeah, it doesn't look like trailz is able to cast fairy twice per life, so he'll need a little help if he encounters a little bit of a block there. Well, it looks like he's found an item room, but he's gonna have to kill himself again, I believe. I don't think he has enough magic to cast fairy.
This item room has a jar, though. This item room has a jar in the statue at the beginning of the room, and the players have the jump spell. So that could be a possibility, but however, trailz just prefers to
decided to hug an iron knuckle, so looked like he was not interested in going back to the beginning of the room. So, so sacrificing a life to see it's a pea bag and just noping out of it. What a shame.
trailz so far have been very disappointing for trailz. in terms
Ooh,
of
the
items.
River Devil actually seems to be on duty today.
Yeah, that he's blocking something. Kind of looks like it.
And as
So,
we see, Three-Eyed Rock definitely confirmed, not a troll mountain formation that just happened to have two little jaggy parts to it.
so at this moment, the flute could be in the Water Child, New Kasuto, Maze Island, Palace 4, Palace 1, Palace 5, and Palace 6 are the locations. Also in Hammer Cave in Dead Mountain. And the Desert Tile, probably. Unless we missed it, but I don't think we did. And trailZ placing his second gem. So I guess he's gonna sail now, probably.
I would think he's going to head east at this point, because I can't see what else he would be able to do at this point. Yeah. Looks like he's heading.
That water tile was very trolly. And it is the medicine, which we don't need, but look at the location of this water tile as soon as Paratroopa leaves.
Oh, right in front of Maze Island. Oh, ew.
There's a probability I wouldn't have entered that tile. Because what the tiles in the logic kind of need to be isolated from all sides, and this one didn't meet that requirement. So yeah, that was very trolly. It could confuse some players. Let's see what happens when trailZ stumbles upon it.
Well, Paratroopa's found one item in Maze Island, and surprisingly, it was a pea bag.
Well, we will see at least 3 pea bags, because the players started with 7 hard containers, so the hard container locations get replaced with pea bags.
Now, do the other items, like the raft, for example, that they started with, also get replaced?
I believe so. Yeah, they have to.
Are they replaced by the same pea bags, or just stuff?
I
like a one-up
kind of
shop?
believe they all get replaced by 500 pea bags.
Because
However,
we saw Palace 2, where the item was a red jar, and not a magic jar like Paratroopa's just found as the second item in Maze Island.
yeah, there are some red jars, there are some one-ups that get mixed, get in the mix, but the items and hard containers that you start with, they always get replaced with 500 point PBX.
Oh, Paratroopa actually just noping out of Maze Island. I'm gonna check.
Yeah, he
this.
found both items, and he knows what the palace is.
I guess I'm a little confused as to why you wouldn't just go and do the palace. Because I think at this point we've deduced that Great Palace is either in Death Valley or Three-Eyed Rock.
What was the palace in Maze Island? I missed it. It should have been 5 or 1, maybe?
It would have to be 5 because it wasn't 1.
Yeah, well, there are some reasons. First, he knows he needs the flute, so he doesn't want to double dip 5, and he doesn't want to look for the item in Palace 5 at this point. And
I
so
guess
he needs. he needs more knowledge. And also he's on attack 4. He has the shield spell, however, maybe a Guma fight could be pretty long, so not his priority at this point. He also needs to sort out the situation about the Eastern continent, because he still has things he hasn't found, and he needs to know if he is flip locked, not only for the palace but also for the exploration. And
So with Palace 4 being isolated like it was, I guess I'm going, all right, why wouldn't you just kind of do it? Because you're not going to want to go into an isolated spot like that again. Like trailZ is doing right now. I just can't see a reason why you don't just do Palace 4.
Yeah, also Palace 4 tends to be not that bad. However, he needs to come back here. He needs to do Palace 5. So it's not that bad. You either do both or you do none of them.
Well, it looks like trailZ is going for Palace 4 at minimum here. He's
yeah, Palace 4 is a very good option. If you have Reflect, it's a no-brainer. The item is on the right side. It's not that big. It doesn't tend to punish you as much as Palace 2, for example. And yeah, he finds Karok next door.
So hi, it's all of 3 rooms and we find Karok. I guess we're gonna have to do a little digging for an item though in Palace 4, aren't we?
Yeah, he immediately walks back, and he was close to a level. He didn't place the gem. He's hoping to find something that helps him get that level. But yeah, Karok is very close to the star. When he finds the item, he knows where to place the gem.
So for trailZ, you're just kind of hoping to get 170 experience, whatever the item is, up an A, and then dunk the crystal, right?
That is correct.
Now, do you try to go out of your way for that 170 experience like Paratroopa did previously in Death Mountain, or do you just kind of go, well, this Iron Knuckles should be able to handle it. Yep, there it is.
I've done it. However, I don't feel proud about it. I've always regretted it. But I keep doing it, so yeah, it's very tempting. And the trophy. Yeah, we ended up finding all these spell items that we won't need. So yay! Thank you, Zelda 2. So yeah, he will be able to place the gem very quickly, and he got 2 levels out of Palace 4, so it wasn't that bad. Now Paratroopa is going through caves, and the possibility of the continent being flip locked just kind of got confirmed. I don't know how through he was into exploring caves, but kind of feels like it.
Well, at this point, we're looking at Palace 4 is off the menu.
Yep. So we have Palace 5, Palace 1, Palace 6, Hammer Cave in Dead Mountain, which is kind of getting attractive at this point. And Desert Tile. I'm not sure about the Desert Tile.
Well, it looks like Paratroopa up in age, so he's back on the Western continent. So I believe he's in Palace 3 right now.
Yeah, he's about to find his red jar.
So Paratroopa possibly deducing that, all right, the hammer is, or excuse me, not the hammer, the flute is not in New Kasuto, not in...
Yeah, he didn't find New Kasuto, so he's assuming, maybe he confirmed it, but he's assuming that New Kasuto is flute blocked. So if Kasuto is flute blocked, the flute couldn't be here, couldn't be there. So that's why he's choosing palaces at this point.
Well, I guess he couldn't get around the River Devil, so go River Devil, actually being on duty for once.
Yeah, kind of looks like it. I don't know how through he was into finding every cave and taking every cave. He could, but it kind of looks like he just confirmed that the overworld in the Eastern continent is flute blocked.
Well, we know it's not in Palace 5 at this point. trail's finding the remaining heart container.
Yeah, so we still have Palace 1 and...
Well, 1 and 6.
And Hammer Cave. And there's the desert tile that Paratroopa didn't
May
enter.
have overlooked.
Yeah, that is a possibility. We still don't know. There are a lot of desert tiles, and I believe we've only seen one.
Well, I've seen two of them, but I know only one of them Paratroopa actually went onto.
Yeah, that is correct.
So that could definitely be an issue. Ooh, Paratroopa.
I thought he was gonna feel his magic with the red jar he's gonna find, but he died, so yeah, the red jar isn't that good at this point.
Well, at least it'll, it'll... Oh, he didn't even have to use a fairy spell, but, ugh.
Thankfully, he didn't use it. That would have been even worse. And there's Guma for trailz. And he's hitting hard.
Ooh,
and there goes trailz.
Taking a death against Guma, although I think trailz was trying an alternative strategy, just kind of going, okay, if I pull this off, yay. If I don't, I'll try to go for it. Guma's doing some damage, just short of a block and a half worth of damage each hit.
Yeah, however, trailz had a very good combo on him. He can only... Oh, okay. Sorry, I jinxed him.
Yeah, something about a commentator's curse coming into play.
Yeah, I believe trailz can only take 3 hits from Guma. Well, 2 hits. The third hit is your death. So not the easiest. However, attack 5 is not that long, not that bad. But you just have to be very consistent.
Well, it looks like trailz found his rhythm there. Not a single hit to be had.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Paratroopa expounding Rebanak.
So trailz goes back to the Western continent. Let's see what he does. I'm curious if he will keep exploring the east or if he will just...
Wasn't Palace 1 on the east or west? Because it's 4, 5, 6
not
Great
sure.
Palace. Because we haven't seen Death Valley, and we haven't seen Three-Eyed Rock yet, and that's where the 2 remaining palaces are.
Yeah,
And
those
I
should...
believe there are 6 in Great Palace.
Yeah, I'm not sure about P1. Well, trailZ is doing Palace 6 and Paratroopa1. Well, he just decided
Paratroopa looked
against
at it and said, no thank you.
So yeah, I guess Paratroopa will go for Palace 2 at this point. So yeah, Palace 1 is either in Valley of Death or Three-Eyed Rock and GP2. So yeah, those 2 are inside those locations. You could go to Valley of Death, however, I don't think the players will do that soon.
It's gonna be a little rough. Well, maybe not so much for Paratroopa. I believe Paratroopa can cast Fairy twice at this point.
Yeah, at least.
But I don't think trailZ is able to just yet until he gets another magic jar. Of course, I have not seen the cost of the fairy spell as of yet. As it stands right now, I could be wrong, and of course reserve the right to be wrong.
Yeah, trailZ has Magic 6, so there's a possibility it is very cheap at this point, but we still don't know. trailZ finding the mini boss of Palace 6. It is kind of good news when you find this guy, because it kind of tells you that you will either find a dead end, which could have the item or the boss, or you will find a drop that leads you somewhere else. So Paratroopa in the glove block room of Palace 2, he just started exploring this palace. He will find...
Oh, lost out on a P-bag, but I think that P-bag not really going to do much, because even if it's 500, he'd still be 1,100 points away from a level. trailZ finding Barba.
Yeah, kind of from 2,000 points, you start forgetting about levels, unless you're very close to one, like trailZ was in Palace 4. But yeah, most of the times after 2,000 points, you just want to beat the game. So yeah, trailZ way ahead in Palace completion thingies. And the good thing for him is that he kind of has explored the same spots that Paratroopa has. I'm not very sure. I don't think I saw him get into the Pivac Caves in the Eastern continent. But I believe he will commit to doing palaces
found
first.
one of them, because he has one of the magic jars that were either in Maze Island or the caves. But trailZ 5 palaces complete. But here's the problem. We need the flute to really continue on unless trailZ just kind of goes, all right, I'm going to go into Valley of Death and hope it's Palace 1.
Yeah, he kind of ran out of palaces at this point.
I mean, if he's going to do a palace, it's his only option at this point, because unless he finds the flute right here, right now, he can't unlock the three-eyed rock. Ooh.
So yeah, at this point, it's either Palace 1, Palace 6, which trailZ will find soon, the item room in it, and Hammer Cave, and probably the desert tile that we still don't know why Paratroopa didn't check. We don't even know if that's the right one. trailZ in the
We'll find
ketchup.
out soon enough, one way or another. I think, if Paratroopa doesn't end up back over there, trailZ will. Our list of possible locations are dwindling by the minute here. trailZ finding the Rebenak blocking the item, and chat saying that Paratroopa did remember the desert tiles, so just for the heck of it, let's remove that off our Christmas list. Oh, found it.
Oh. And I believe that's the last place where Paratroopa will check. We'll see, but
trailZ finding the item in Palace 6. And it's the flute that was pretty much our go mode item. So trail's going to peek into Three-Eyed Rock, see if it's Palace 1 or 6. Or excuse me, nope, Great Palace, sorry. Try again. Off to Valley of Death you go, big boy.
yeah, he needs to go there, and the only thing that can stop him at this point is the upstep technique. Very, very low probability of that happening, but could happen.
And it looks like trailZ says pretty much got Fairy in check at this point. Magic level 7. It looked like it used about a bar and a half. So trailZ might be able to fairy feed his way through the Valley of Death encounters, as Paratroopa is unfortunately now very behind. trailZ finding the flute. Paratroopa 3 palaces behind, plus the flute.
Yeah, and trailZ finding a cave that leads him to 2 forest tiles, but he's not interested, so he will walk back. I don't know if one of those forest tiles could have been New Kazuto, but well, he doesn't need it anyway, so.
Well, at this point, New Kazuto would have a candle, a key, a junk. I mean, maybe if you happen across New Kazuto and you go, oh, well, okay, you want to give me the key? Sure, I'll take it.
If you're Paratroopa, yeah. If you're trailZ, no. He only needs to do Palace 1, and Palace 1 is not a problem in terms of keys.
Well, I think the only problem is going to be actually getting to it. I don't think... Oh, no, there we go. trailZ finding the Valley of Death as well as Paratroopa.
Yeah, Paratroopa behind. Unfortunately for Paratroopa, he will look for the item, and we know it is not the flute. And trailZ will try to finish it as soon as he can. He's not looking for anything here.
So trailZ going for a trip to the sauna to replenish his MP as he's going to try to fairy feed his way through these encounters.
And a Palace 1 that leads you to the left. I've seen a lot of those lately. I hate them.
Well, and Paratroopa taking a bit of a gamble there and trying to cast fairy and fly through. Makes it through. We see a little bit of a difference in style. Paratroopa not using the fairy feet technique, whereas trailZ was probably a little faster through the Valley of Death using the fairy feet technique.
Yeah, if you're not confident about your fairy feeding, you tend to do this thing. It's way faster to fairy feed, but if you fail too many fairy feeds, there's the probability you have to game over. So yeah, you don't want that. But if you get confident about your fairy feeding, you end up using it a lot. It's very convenient. So you can see the difference in routing, because Paratroopa is looking for the item and trailZ is not.
Yeah, unfortunately for Paratroopa, we know, well, not going to work out for him here. What we were saying, or at least I was saying about 19 minutes in, is that there wasn't one runner that had a definitive lead over the other. But it did. Oh, wow. Paratroopa actually finding the key.
That's actually the best case scenario for him, because he hasn't done 3 other palaces, and that will help him catch up pretty quickly. However, trailZ has a commanding lead at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, as much as it would help him get through those palaces, trailZ is going to be exploring the Great Palace while Paratroopa is still trying to play catch-up.
Yeah.
And about the only place it would help Paratroopa is Palace 4, but I think he's going to end up looking for that item. Oh, I guess we have to hope Paratroopa goes to Palace 6. Because we know where the flute is. If he goes to Palace 6 first, Palace 4 is going to be all of 3 screens.
Yeah.
And it would save a lot of time in Palace 5 as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
So Paratroopa has a very set order in which he's going to have to make his next set of moves.
Yeah, let's hope he doesn't go to Death Mountain. But yeah, going back to the west to go into Palace 6, I don't think it's in his plans.
Well, if he goes to
probably
Maze
do 4
Island
and
next,
5.
that's where 4 and 5 are. And that's going to bite him in the butt.
Yeah, and I think that's what he will do. And I don't blame him. That's what almost everybody will do. Because he's just there. He's in that same section. He has to go back through Valley of Dead, but that's not that bad. Meanwhile, trailz in Great Palace. Pink Great Palace.
So at this point, the only thing that can really stop trailz would be an upstab blocked path.
Yep. However, the lead is so big, as Jacob said in chat, that most probably wouldn't matter either. However, we haven't seen the location of Darunia. No, we have. Yeah, Paratroopa entered there and got the shield spell and the upstab technique there. But I believe trailz doesn't know the location of it, so maybe trailz getting very lost finding it could be the only hope that Paratroopa has. And there's a bird. We don't know if it is required.
Well, bird's the word, at least. That's a Thunderbird, so we'll see if trailz is able to take him down. But as you said, we do not know if this is the right way as of yet. Thunderbird is not guaranteed to block the way to Dark Link. However, Dark Link could be right here in the next room. Well, at least not this one.
So yeah, we have options after the bird. Oh, and a toasty for Paratroopa.
Yeah, not quite fast enough on casting Fairy, unfortunately. Paratroopa is exploring, and I'm not exactly sure what for.
Yeah, remember when I told you earlier that I thought he confirmed that it was flute blocked? Well, maybe he didn't. He still thinks that there's a way to go to New Kasuto. And I think he's on the right way at this point, but he will find a lot of trash inside New Kasuto, unfortunately.
Oh, come on. The candle can't be that trash.
At this point?
Yeah, it's just garbage. He might be able to find the 8th magic jar, but I think we found New Kasuto. So Paratroopa is going to unfortunately spend some time there.
Yeah, that's at least 2 or 3 minutes.
So it's going to be junk?
The candle, yeah.
So, like I said, it's going to be junk.
Why don't you ask the lady? Maybe she knows where the flute is. Come on, Paratroopa. Okay.
So Paratroopa is going to head over to the spell tower, which a 1-up doll? I mean, what could he even find at this point?
A magic container.
Oh, okay. A magic jar could. Well, useful maybe, but unfortunately, definitely not the flute. Ooh, pea
And that's
bag.
a pea bag.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, the thing that I don't like is that Paratroopa is not asking for hints. There's a probability of an useful hint in here. There are 3 hint locations. He's asking for one, and unfortunately, the lady doesn't know anything.
Well, I know nothing either, so I guess it's even up on that one. Trail's in a little bit of trouble here. Ooh. Oh, he gets tagged by the bot.
Yeah, that was a bot gangbang.
So the right play for Paratroopa, knowing what we know, is to go to Palace 6. But it looks like Paratroopa bypassing the wrap spot that he would need to take. So unfortunately, it looks like Paratroopa's headed off to Maze Island. And that means Palace 4 and Palace 5 full cleared.
Yeah, the way things were laid out, there was a very low probability of him doing Palace 6 first.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because that would be what he needs to do to have any real shot at getting back into this match. At this point, with 3 palaces left to explore, while your opponent is in the Great Palace, that's a tough ask.
Yeah, and there's a very big probability that he will do Dead Mountain before entering Palace 6.
Well, Paratroopa's just diving right in, so this is going to be Palace 5 for Paratroopa.
Yeah, and as you can see, he's going left, so yeah, he's looking for the item. Of course, he needs it.
Oh, let's see. If memory serves me correctly, Palace 5 was either the last heart container or a
Yeah, I
pea
believe
bag.
it was. Yeah, I believe it was the heart container. The only heart container in the seed. So trail finding the 1-up and up a name.
I was gonna say he might grab the 1-up and try to continue exploring, but Trail's just having enough.
So now I am curious about what the River Devil was blocking. Maybe the desert tile, maybe nothing.
Probably nothing. Knowing where the River Devil likes to hang out, nothing.
Yeah. Well, we didn't see Naburu, or did we? Well, as the players didn't need it, we probably saw it, but it was so short that we missed it. But yeah, there are things that we still didn't see, but we don't know for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
But I think he only turned in one of them. Actually, none of them. As I look at his spell sheet, Reflect being the one free spell that was not in the starting list.
Yeah, Paratroopa got shield spell.
Okay, it was Paratroopa that turned in the child, I believe.
Yeah.
But, oh boy, this is not good for Paratroopa at all. trailZ onto the Dark Link fight.
Yeah, I believe we haven't seen an Abstop block in this tournament so far. I'm pretty sure we've seen them in the previous ones, but in this tournament, it hasn't been the case. So yeah, GG to trailZ, who finishes in first place with a time of 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 40 seconds.
And I think it looks like Paratroopa conceding defeat on this one, so...
Yeah, he tells in chat that he was still a ways out. And yeah, as the way he was doing things, I was pretty sure Palace 6 would be his last option or his second to last option. Really unfortunate. And I don't blame him. I would have played very similarly.
Well, the good thing is, Paratroopa, even though he's taken the loss here, not out of the tournament entirely yet. He will fall down to the loser's bracket and will meet the winner of Victor Santa Fe and Bent Glass Tube.
Oh, so I'm kind of glad I called this race.
Yeah, so scouting out a potential opponent if you're able to get past Bent Glass Tube in your next match.
We'll see. Bent Glass Tube is a very good player. He makes some very questionable decisions, but he's really good at this game.
Well, good luck in that next race of yours, whenever it may be. And speaking of our winner, trailZ, he will move on and take on Jay Coper in the next match. And I believe we are being joined by someone.
Paratroopa, I see in chat.
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, how do you feel about this one? I'd say it was pretty unfortunate.
That's the result that was going to happen for sure. I needed a very, very lucky seed with things breaking my way for this to go well, and it didn't. So that's how that.
I think you did great. It was just a matter of I wouldn't say luck, but yeah, the way you make decisions in this game sometimes punishes you very hard, and I think that was the case in this one. You were the first.
Yeah, Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you were the first that found out that there was a flute block.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of said that could work in your favor, especially if the flute is in the overworld in the Eastern continent.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it turned out to be in a palace, and trailZ was doing all the palaces. He started on the Western continent, did all the palaces, all the items, and then he went into the Eastern continent and did the same. And so yeah, that was very favorable for him.
Yeah, so my strategy is always going to be to sweep all of the items off of the Western continent, then sail to the Eastern continent if I can and get the items there, and then do the palaces after that. If key items are in the palaces, I will always lose this game. That's just a fact. I accept that because that's the strategy. I prefer to play the strategy where I don't go into palaces early because I like to have my levels up as high as they can be until I go there. So that's gonna really help me out if key items are in the overworld and I find those early. But it's going to burn me if for instance, the any key is in 1, the flute, which I need, is in 6. I will never win that type of seed, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I think it has worked somehow for you in this tournament.
It has,
so yeah. I don't question it too much, but yeah, sometimes in this category, you have to be a little bit bolder. But I don't know.
Yeah,
this seed was really weird in that sense.
I lost a lot of time looking for New Kasuto, which was kind of in an odd location there. I was really hoping that would have one of the key items. I needed either the any key or I didn't need the any key, but it helped a lot. Or the flute, which I knew I needed, and it had just the candle and a pea bag, so it was absolutely nothing. I was also looking for magic containers because fairy was expensive until level 6, and I just ended up getting lost, and I ended up spending too much time looking for it. Nothing else went super wrong, but I'm just going to be slower than trailZ, so I need things to break my way for sure.
So yeah, we have trailZ with us. GG, man! Congratulations on winning this match. That was great.
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you. GG, Paratroopa.
Yep, GG.
So was the Aniki in Palace 1?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I found it at some point, but too late for it to matter.
I gotta be honest, man. I was a little worried. I made some mistakes. I don't know. I was having I didn't get the glove until pretty late.
Oh yeah, that was. It was the last thing I found on the Western continent, but I didn't try to explore new palaces before I got it, so it wasn't really a big.
Yeah, it was very, very close between you guys, and yeah, the Western exploration was pretty similar in both of you, except for the fact that Paratroopa sailed to the Eastern continent earlier, and trailZ decided to go for palaces as soon as he found the glove.
Yeah, and I didn't get the flute until the very last thing I found either. Like I went to the east, went around to where Maze Island and the other palace, Palace 4 and Palace 5 were. I stumbled onto the item in Palace 5 by accident, thank God, or else I'd probably still be in there.
Oh yeah, I was in there when I quit, and I was very lost.
You were fairy blocked?
No, not fairy block. I was lost.
You were lost.
5. I went down a deep rabbit hole in 5 and never got anywhere. I didn't find the lost worthy item.
I guess I got lucky in that regard, but I almost game over at the Guma, and if that was the case, I probably wouldn't have. It was a long branch I took, and it happened to get me there. But so I found the items in P4 and P5, and then I did Palace 6 because Fairy had become reasonable at that point, and I could cast it more than twice. So I just lucked. I don't think I found one item on the east, and it was the water tile. After that, I didn't search for any more items. Because after I found that, I up and ate to the west to do Palace 6, and then I had the flute happened to be in there, and that was my go mode item. So
yeah, that was game over for me. Is the fact that I explored. If the flute was anywhere on the east, I might have had a chance in this, but it wasn't. So that's just how it goes with Z2 sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it could have been anywhere.
I will never, ever, 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 ever choose to do Palace 6 as early as you did it, because it's just not. It isn't conducive to my playstyle. So if the flute was in Palace 6. I had already accepted the fact that if the flute was in Palace 6, the seed was already lost for me, so I didn't. So I just I'll just wait, and if it's in Palace 6, I lose. If it's not, then I have a chance. And that's just how Z2 goes.
Well, I waited until late to do Palace 6. I stuck my head in there early, but because Fairy was so expensive, I left, and I came back. It was my 5th
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone back there. Once I got Magic 6, I could have done it. But then that's not the same time I found the Any key. So I could have done P6 at that point, but I was closer to P4 and P5, so I started with those. I don't think it really mattered. I was just...
So, Paratroopa, would you have chosen to do Death Mountain first or Palace 6?
I would have gone to Palace 6 because you have to actually do Palace 6. Yeah, and unfortunately, I also did spend some time looking at Death Mountain. I like to go there if I have Hammer because there's going to be a free item under the boulder. I ended up staying a little bit just to get a level up. And that unfortunately didn't pan out. I swear Hammer Cave is always the last place you look in Death Mountain. But I figured it was a somewhat high risk, somewhat medium reward play. Maybe if something important was in Death Mountain, because there were a lot of important items in this seed. That could have potentially been a game winner if something is in Death Mountain. So I decided to look there a little bit. It ended up being a huge bust, so that's too bad.
So yeah, that ended up being very punishing for you because you got a 500 payback in Spectacle Rock, and you needed 650 for the next level. So you were pretty close to that level. So that payback ended up getting you to spend more time in that mountain, and you also met a red Dyra that could have given you that level, and you thundered that red Dyra, and it threw you 2 jars, a blue jar from a Moa, I believe, and a red jar from the red Dyra. So that was pretty unfortunate. That was like the game punishing you.
Yeah, that was annoying because I would have up and nade after that P bag, except that it was close to a level up, and I wanted more magic up for fairies, so I was like, I do need the experience. So I'll stick around a little bit longer because it gets me another level up, and then that ended up wasting time that didn't really. Yeah, it was.
So, what do you guys think about the location of the water tile? That was pretty freaky for me.
I didn't know it could do that. It's interesting.
Neither did I. I found it by accident.
I was like, is this the water tile or is this just ocean? I had to walk to it. I was like, oh, I guess it's the water tile. All right.
Man, if say like maybe Rose City Saint was racing, he might have not avoided that tile, but I don't think he would have stepped on it thinking it was the water tile. And if he did, he'd have probably been kind of freaked out a little bit because I didn't think it could spawn like I thought I had to have 8 similar tiles wrapped around it, like 8 force tile, 8 grass tile. You know what I mean? It's something that stands out.
That's not.
What was that?
That's the condition for.
It might be that it spawns the 8 tiles around it, but then spawns the Maze Island bridge afterwards. That might be what happened.
Maybe
bridges. One of the things that causes most of the glitches in this randomizer are bridge encounters. There are some encounters like bridges and the Wilsons, the encounters where you get rocks thrown at you. Those kind of tend to appear in weird places, and sometimes they appear for example, in Valley of Death, and they kind of force you out of there. Yeah, those kind of encounters sometimes appear in spots where that they shouldn't appear in. But yeah, this one was pretty wacky.
Yeah, that happened last night, didn't it? I swear I'd hit a Valley of Death encounter on VO.
Yeah, that was an encounter with the Wilsons inside Valley of Death. If you went from right to left, but if you went from left to right, it was a normal Valley of Death encounter. That was weird.
That is weird.
So yeah, guys, well, GG, that was a good race. This seed was very interesting for us to watch. So yeah, congratulations to trailZ for winning this one. I believe your next opponent is Jay Copper, and he just scouted you in chat the whole race.
Oh yeah.
So good luck with that.
He actually either put me out of one of the last Max Rando tournaments, or he was one of my losses on why I got out, or maybe he put me in a lower bracket. I don't know, but he's no one to sleep on. And that GP, man, was pretty rough. I don't know if there was an easier path to get to Dark Link than the one I took, but it seemed like everything down from the ferry room and past Thunderbird was just one big loop. And then the only way out was to go left at ferry. And then even when you went left at ferry, it was a pretty long pathway to get there. So I don't know if I took a bad route or something, but
Yeah, that's pretty tough. Well, thankfully, you guys had 8 hard containers. But yeah, trailz didn't have either the shield or the live spell. So yeah, GP can be pretty punishing that way.
Yeah, I went out my way to turn in the child to get the shield spell too, just because I figured that would probably... It had a 2/3 chance to be either shield or life, and I wanted that. But it ended up not really being a huge concern because I didn't get to GP.
did you find fire?
No, but I think it's linked to shield.
Okay, I found the medicine and the trophy, but I never found the I never, like, I dipped into Raru in case if it was like possibly Mito or Rudo, and on my way into GP or Palace 6, I can't remember, and it wasn't either one of them, so I just kept on rolling.
So yeah, lots of mysteries about this seed. We don't know if there was a helpful hint in it. The only one you guys picked was the one about the hammer being in the west, and both of you got it after you got the hammer because it was pretty close to it. And the other question I have for this seed is, what was the River Devil blocking? Did any of you guys see Naburu?
Yeah, I saw Naburu.
Okay,
I don't know
so
if the River Devil's blocking anything. I think I found everything in the east.
I don't think I ever saw the River Devil.
yeah, it was in a road that seemed to be blocking something, but
I tried
close
to
big chick
open
dash.
them, and I didn't have the flute. I didn't even realize I didn't have the flute because it usually doesn't matter. So
So yeah,
All
guys.
right. I think we'll call that a night for today. Definitely big thank you to everyone for showing up, being Frico and Victor Santa Fe, because this was a really exciting match to watch. Paratroopa and trailz, thank you so much for letting me restream you. It's fun as always. And definitely tune in tomorrow for some more Z2R randomizer. And as always, thank you so much for your support. We definitely couldn't do it without you.